1. Diversity in the living world. Biology is the science of life forms and living processes. The living world comprises an amazing diversity of living organisms. Early, man could easily perceive the difference between inanimate matter and living organism. Early, man defined some of the inanimate matter, wind, sea, fire, etc., and some among the animals and plants. A common feature of all such forms of inanimate and animate object was the sense of awe or fear that they evoked. The description of living organisms, including human beings, began much later in human history. Societies which indulged in anthropocentric view of biology could register limited progress in biological knowledge. Systematic and monumental description of life forms brought in out of necessity. Detailed system of identification, nomenclature, and classification. The biggest sign of such studies was the recognition of the sharing of similarities among living organisms both horizontally and vertically, that all present-day living organisms are related to each other and also to all organisms that ever lived on this earth, was a revelation which humbled man and led to cultural movement for conservation of biodiversity. In the following chapter of this unit, you will get a description including classification of animals and plants from a taxonomist perspective. Ernest Mayr, 1904 to 2004. Born on 5 July 1904 in Captain, in Germany, Ernest Mayr, the Harvard University evolutionary biologist who has been called the Darwin of the 20th century, was one of the 100 greatest scientists of all time. Mayr joined Harvard's Faculty of Arts and Science in 1953 and retired in 1975, assuming the title Alexander Agassiz Professor of Zoology Emeritus. Throughout his nearly 80-year career, his research spanned on ethology, taxonomy, zoogeography, evolution, systematics, and the history and philosophy of biology. He almost single-handedly made the origin of species diversity the central question of evolutionary biology that it is today. He also pioneered the currently accepted definition of a biological species. Mayr was awarded the three prizes widely regarded as the Triple Crown of Biology: the Balzan Prize in 1983, the International Prize for Biology in 1994, and the Crawford Prize in 1999. Mayr died at the age of 100 in the year 2004. Chapter 1. The Living World. How wonderful is the living world? The wide range of living types is amazing. The extraordinary habitat in which we find living organisms, be it cold mountain, deciduous forest, ocean, freshwater lake, desert, or hot spring, leave us speechless. The beauty of a galloping horse, of the migrating birds, the valley of flowers, or the attacking shark evoke awe and a deep sea of wonder. The ecological conflict and cooperation among members of a population and among population of a community, or even the molecular traffic inside a cell, make us deeply reflect on what indeed is life. This question has two implicit questions within it. The first is a technical one and seek answer to what living is as opposed to the non-living. And second is a philosophical one and seeks answer to what the purpose of life is. As scientists, we shall not attempt answering the second question. We will try to reflect on what is living. 1.1. What is living? When we try to define living, we conventionally look for distinctive characteristics exhibited by living organisms. Growth, reproduction, ability to sense environment and mount a suitable response come to our mind immediately as unique feature of living organism. One can add a few more features like metabolism, ability to self-replicate, self-organize, interact, and emergence to this list. Let us try to understand each of this. All living organisms grow. Increase in mass and increase in number of individuals are twin characteristics of growth. A multicellular organism grow by cell division. In plants, this growth by cell division occur continuously throughout their lifespan. In animals, this growth is seen only up to a certain age. However, cell division occurs in certain tissue to replace the lost cell. Unicellular organisms grow by cell division. One can easily observe this in vitro cultures by simply counting the number of cells under the microscope. In majority of higher animals and plants, growth and reproduction are mutually exclusive events. One must remember that increase in body mass is considered as growth. Non-living objects also grow if we take increase in body mass as a criterion for growth. Mountain, boulders and sand mounds do grow. However, this kind of growth exhibited by non-living object is by accumulation of material on the surface. In living organism, growth is from inside. Growth therefore cannot be taken as a defining property of living organism. Conditions under which it can be observed in all living organisms have to be explained, and then we understand that it is a characteristic of living system. A dead organism does not grow. Reproduction likewise is a characteristic of living organism. The multicellular organism Reproduction refers to the production of progeny possessing features more or less similar to those of parents. Invariably and implicitly, we refer to sexual reproduction. Organisms reproduce by asexual means also. Fungi multiply and spread easily due to the medium of asexual spores they produce. In lower organisms like yeast and hydra, we observe budding. In planaria, flatworms, we observe true regeneration. That is, a fragmented organism regenerates the lost part of its body and become a new organism. The fungi, the filamentous algae, the protonema of mosses all easily multiply by fragmentation. When it comes to unicellular organisms like bacteria, unicellular algae or amoeba, reproduction is synonymous with growth, that is, increasing number of cells. We have already defined growth as equivalent to increase in cell number or mass. Hence, we notice that in single cell organism, we are not very clear about the usage of these two terms, growth and reproduction. Further, these are many organisms which do not reproduce: mule, sterile worker bees, infertile human couple, etc. Hence, reproduction also cannot be an all-inclusive defining characteristic of living organism. Of course, no non-living object is capable of reproducing or replicating by itself. Another characteristic of life is metabolism. All living organisms are made of chemical. These chemicals, small and big, belonging to various classes, sizes, functions, etc., are constantly being made and changed into some other biomolecule. This conversion are chemical reaction or metabolic reaction. There are thousands of metabolic reactions occurring simultaneously inside all living organisms, be they unicellular or multicellular. All plants, animals, fungi, and microbes exhibit metabolism. The sum total of all the chemical reactions occurring in our body is metabolism. No non-living object exhibits metabolism. Metabolic reaction can be demonstrated outside the body in cell-free system. An isolated metabolic reaction outside the body of an organism performed in a test tube is neither living nor non-living. Hence, while metabolism is the defining feature of all living organisms without exception, isolated metabolic reaction in vitro are not living things but surely living reaction. Hence, cellular organization of the body is the defining feature of life forms. Perhaps the most obvious and technically complicated feature of all living organisms is this ability to sense their surrounding or environment and respond to this environmental stimuli, which could be physical, chemical, or biological. We sense our environment through our sense organ. Plants respond to external factors like light, water, temperature, other organism, pollutant, etc. All organisms from the prokaryote to the most complex eukaryotes can sense and respond to external cues. Photoperiod affects reproduction in seasonal period, both plant and animals. All organisms handle chemical entering their body. All organisms therefore are aware of their surrounding. Human being is the only organism who is aware of himself, that is, has self-consciousness. Consciousness therefore becomes the defining property of living organism. When it comes to human being, it is all the more difficult to define the living state. We observe patients lying in coma in hospital virtually supported by machine which replace heart and lungs. The patient is otherwise brain dead. The patient has no self-consciousness. Are such patients who never come back to normal life, living or non-living? In higher classes, you will come to know, and that all living phenomena are due to underlying interaction. Properties of tissue are not present in the constituent cell but arise as a result of interaction among the constituent cell. Similarly, properties of cellular organelles are not present in the molecular constituent of the organelle but arise as a result of interaction among the molecular component comprising the organelle. These interactions result in emergent properties at a higher level of organization. This phenomena is true in the hierarchy of organizational complexity at all levels. Therefore, we can say that living organisms are self-replicating, evolving, and self-regulating interactive systems capable of responding to external stimuli. Biology is the story of life on Earth. Biology is the story of evolution of living organisms on Earth. All living organisms, present, past, and future, are linked to one another by the sharing of the common genetic material, but to varying degrees. Diversity in the living world 1.2. If you look around, you will see a large variety of living organisms, be it potted plant, insect, birds, your pets, or other animals and plants. There are also several organisms that you cannot see with your naked eye, but they are all around you. If you were to increase the area that you make observation in, the range and variety of organisms that you see would increase. Obviously, if you were to visit a dense forest, you would probably see a much greater number and kinds of living organism in it. Each different kind of plant, animal, or organism that you see represent a species. The number of species that are known and described range between 1.7 to 1.8 million. This refers to biodiversity or the number and types of organisms present on Earth. We should remember here that as we explore new areas and even old ones, new organisms are continuously being identified. As stated earlier, there are millions of plants and animals in the world. We know the plants and animals in our own area by their local names. These local names would vary from place to place, even within a country. Probably you would recognize the confusion that would be created if we did not find ways and means to talk to each other to refer to organism we are talking about. Hence, there is a need to standardize the naming of organism such that a particular organism is known by the same name all over the world. This process is called nomenclature. Obviously, nomenclature or naming is only possible when the organism is described correctly and we know to what organism the name is attached to. This is identification. To facilitate the study, number of scientists have established procedures to assign a scientific name to each known organism. This is acceptable to biologists all over the world. For plants, scientific names are based on agreed principle and criteria, which are provided in International Code for Botanical Nomenclature (ICBN). You may ask, how are animals named? Animal taxonomists have evolved International Code of Zoological Nomenclature (ICZN). The scientific names ensure that each organism has only one name. Description of any organism should enable the people in any part of the world to arrive at the same name. They also ensure that such a name has not been used for any other known organism. Biologists follow universally accepted principle to provide scientific names to no organism. Each name has two components, the generic name and the specific epithet. This system of providing a name with two components is called binomial nomenclature. This naming system given by Carolus Linnaeus is being practiced by biologists all over the world. This naming system using a two-word format was found convenient. Let us take the example of mango to understand the way of providing scientific name better. The scientific name of mango is written as Mangifera indica. Let us see how it is a binomial name. In this name, Mangifera represents the genus while indica is a particular species or a specific epithet. Other universal rules of nomenclature are as follows. First, biological names are generally in Latin and written in italics. They are Latinized or derived from Latin irrespective of their origin. Second, the first word in a biological name represents genus, while the second component denotes the specific epithet. Third, both the words in a biological name when handwritten are separately underlined or printed in italics to indicate the Latin origin. Fourth, the first word denoting the genus starts with a capital letter while the specific epithet starts with a small letter. It can be illustrated with the example of Mangifera indica. Name of author appears after the specific epithet, that is, at the end of the biological name, and is written in an abbreviated form. Example, Mangifera indica Linn. It indicates that this species was first described by Linnaeus. Since it is nearly impossible to study all the living organisms, it is necessary to devise some means to make this possible. This process is classification. Classification is the process by which anything is grouped into convenient categories based on some easily observable character. For example, we easily recognize groups such as plants or animals, or dog, cat, or insect. The moment we use any of these terms, we associated certain character with the organism in that group. What image do you see when you think of a dog? Obviously, each one of us will see dogs and not cats. Now, if we were to think of Alsatians, we know that we are talking about similarly. Suppose we were to say mammal, we would of course think of animal with external ear and body hair. Likewise, in plant, if we try to talk of wheat, the picture of in each of our mind will be of wheat plant, not of rice or any other plant. Hence, all these dogs, cats, mammal, wheat, rice, plants, animals, etc. are convenient categories we use to study organism. The scientific term for this category is taxa. Here you must recognize that taxa can indicate categories at different level. Plant also form a taxa. Wheat is also a taxa. Similarly, animals, mammals, dog are all taxa. But you know that a dog is a mammal and mammal are animal. Therefore, animals, mammals and dog represent taxa at different level. Hence, based on characteristic, all living organisms can be classified into different taxa. This process of classification is taxonomy. External and internal structure along with the structure of cell, development process and ecological conflict, information of organisms are essential and form the basis of modern taxonomic studies. Hence, characterization, identification, classification and nomenclature are the processes that are basic to taxonomy. Taxonomy is not something new. Human beings have always been interested in knowing more and more about the various kinds of organisms, particularly with reference to their own use. In early days, human beings needed to find sources for their basic needs of food, clothing and shelter. Hence, the earliest classification were based on the uses of various organisms. Human beings were since long not only interested in knowing more about different kinds of organisms and their diversities, but also the relationship among them. This branch of study was referred to as systematic. The word systematic is derived from the Latin word systema, which means systematic arrangement of organisms. Linnaeus used Systema Naturae as the title of his publication. The scope of systematic was later enlarged to include identification, nomenclature, and classification. Systematic takes into account evolutionary relationship between organisms. 1.3 Taxonomic categories. Classification is not a single-step process but involves hierarchy of steps in which each step represents a rank or category. Since the category is a part of overall taxonomic arrangement, it is called the taxonomic category, and all categories together constitute the taxonomic hierarchy. Each category referred to as a unit of classification. In fact, represent a rank and is commonly termed as taxon. Plural taxa. Taxonomic categories and hierarchy can be illustrated by an example. Insect represent a group of organisms sharing common feature like 3 pairs of jointed legs. It means insects are recognizable concrete objects which can be classified and thus were given a rank or category. Can you name other such organism? Remember, group represent category. Category further denotes rank. Each rank or taxon in fact represent a unit of classification. These taxonomic groups categories are distinct biological entities and not merely morphological aggregates. Taxonomical study of all known organisms have led to the development of common categories such as kingdom, phylum or division for plant, class, order, family, genus and species. All organisms including those in plant and animal kingdom have species as the lowest category. Now the question you may ask is how to place an organism in various categories. The basic requirement is the knowledge of character of an individual or group of organisms. This helps in identifying similarities and dissimilarities among the individual of the same kind of organism as well as other kind of organism. 1.3.1 Species. Taxonomic studies consider a group of individual organisms with fundamental similarities as species. One should be able to distinguish one species from the other closely related species based on the distinct morphological differences. Let us consider Mangifera indica, Solanum tuberosum potato and Panthera leo lion. All the three names indica, tuberosum and leo represents the specific epithet, while the first word Mangifera, Solanum and Panthera are genera and represents another higher level of taxon or category. Each genus may have one or more than one specific epithet representing different organisms but having morphological similarities. For example, Panthera has another species specific epithet called tigris, and Solanum includes species like Nigrum and Melodrina. Human beings belong to the same species Sapiens, which is grouped in the genus Homo. The scientific name thus for the human being is written as Homo sapien. 1.3.2 Genus. Genus comprises a group of related species which has more character in common in comparison to species of another genera. We can say that genera are aggregates of closely related species. For example, potato and brinjal are two different species, but both belong to the same genus Solanum. Lion, Panthera leo, leopard, Panthera pardus, and tiger, Panthera tigris, with several common features, are all species of the genus Panthera. This genus differs from another genus Felis, which includes cat. 1.3.3 Family. The next category, family, has a group of related genera with still less number of similarities as compared to genus and species. Families are characterized on the basis of both vegetative and reproductive features of plant species. Among plants, for example, three different genera Solanum, Petunia, and Datura are placed in the family Solanaceae. Among animals, for example, genus Panthera, comprising lion, tiger, leopard, is put along with genus Felis, cat, in the family Felidae. Similarly, if you observe the features of a cat and a dog, you will find some similarities and some differences as well. They are separated into two different families, Felidae and Canidae, respectively. 1.3.4 Order. You have seen earlier that categories like species, genus, and families are based on a number of similar characters. Generally, order and other higher taxonomic categories are identified based on the aggregates of character. Order being a higher category is the assemblage of families which exhibit a few similar characters. The similar characters are less in number as compared to different genera included in a family. Plant families like Convolvulaceae, Sonalaceae are included in the order Polymonials mainly based on the floral character. The name order Carnivora include families like Felidae and Canidae. 1.3.5 Class. This category includes related order. For example, order Primata comprising monkey, gorilla, and gibbon is placed in class Mammalia along with order Carnivora that include animals like tiger, cat, and dog. Class Mammalia has other order also. 1.3.6 Phylum. Classes comprising animals like fishes, amphibians, reptiles, birds along with mammals constitute the next higher category called phylum. All these based on the common feature like presence of notochord and dorsal hollow neural system are included in phylum Chordata. In case of plant, classes with a few similar characters are assigned to a higher category called division. Kingdom. 1.3.7 All animals belonging to various phyla are assigned to the highest category called kingdom. Animalia is in the classification system of animals. The kingdom Plantae, on the other hand, is distinct and comprises all plants from various divisions. Henceforth, we will refer to these two groups as animal and plant kingdom. The taxonomic categories from species to kingdom have been shown in ascending order, starting with species in figure 1.1. These are broad categories. Hence, taxonomists have also developed such categories in this hierarchy to facilitate more sound and scientific placement of various taxa. Look at the hierarchy is in figure 1.1. Can you recall the basis of arrangement? See, for example, as we go higher from species to kingdom, the number of common character goes on decreasing. Lower the taxa, more the characters take that the member within the taxon share. Higher the category, greater is the difficulty of determining the relationship to other taxa at the same level. Hence, the problem of classification becomes more complex. Table 1.1 indicates the taxonomic categories to which some common organisms like housefly, mango, man, and wheat belong. Table 1.1 Organism with their taxonomic categories. Common name, biological name, genus, family, order, class, phylum or division. Phylum for animal and division for plants. Man, biological name is Homo sapiens, genus Homo, family Hominidae, order Primata, class Mammalia, phylum Chordata. Housefly, common name. Biological name Musca domestica. Genus Musca, family Muscidae, order Diptera, class Insecta, phylum Arthropoda. Common name Mango. Biological name Mangifera indica, genus Mangifera, phylum Anacardiaceae, order Spindle, class Dicotyledone, phylum or division Angiospermi. Common name Wheat. Biological name Triticum acetium, genus Triticum, family Poaceae, order Poales, class Monocotyledone, division Angiospermi. Figure 1.1 Taxonomic categories showing hierarchical arrangement in ascending order. Arrangement is like this: species, genus, family, order, class, phylum or division, and then kingdom. We have one trick to learn this. Keep pot clean or family get sick. Now back to 1.4 Taxonomical aids. Taxonomic studies of various species of plant, animals and other organisms are useful in agriculture, forestry, industry and in general in knowing our bioresources and their diversity. These studies would require correct classification and identification of organisms. Identification of organism requires intensive laboratory and field studies. The collection of actual specimens of plants and animal species is essential and is the primary source of taxonomic studies. These are also fundamental to studies and essential for training in systematics. It is used for classification of an organism and the information gathered is also stored along with the specimen. In some cases, the specimen is preserved for future studies. Biology has established certain procedure and technique to store and preserve the information as well as the specimen. Some of these are explained to help you understand the usage of these aids. 1.4.1 Herbarium. Herbarium is a storehouse of collected plant specimens that are dried, preserved and pressed on sheet. Further, the sheet are arranged according to a universally accepted system of classification. These specimens along with the description on herbarium sheet become a storehouse or repository for future use. Figure 1.2 Herbarium showing stored specimens. The herbarium sheet also carry a label providing information about date and place of collection, English local and botanical name, family, collector's name, etc. Herbaria also serve as quick reference system in taxonomical study. 4.2 Botanical garden. These specialized gardens have collection of living plant for reference. Plant species in this garden are grown for identification purposes and each plant is labeled indicating its botanical scientific name and its family. The famous botanical garden are at New England, Indian Botanical Garden, Howrah, India, and at National Botanical Research Institute, Lucknow, India. 1.4.3 Museum. Biological museums are generally set up in educational institutes such as schools, colleges. Museums have collection of preserved plant and animal specimens for study and reference. Specimens are preserved in the container or jar in preservative solution. Plant and animal specimens may also be preserved as dry specimens. Insects are preserved in insect box after collecting, killing and pinning. Larger animals like birds and mammals are usually stuffed and preserved. Museums often have collection of skeleton of animals too. 1.4.4 Zoological Park. These are the places where wild animals are kept in protected environment under human care and which enable us to learn about their food habitats and behavior. All animals in a zoo are provided as far as possible the conditions similar to their natural habitat. Children love visiting this park commonly called zoos. Figure 1.3. Figure 1.3 picture showing animals in different zoological park of India. 1.4.5 Key. Key is another taxonomical aid used for identification of plants and animals based on the similarities and dissimilarities. The key are based on the contrasting character generally in a pair called couplet. It represents the choice made between two opposite options. This results in acceptance of only one and rejection of the other. Each statement in the key is called a lead. Separate taxonomic key are required for taxonomic category such as family, genus and species for identification purpose. Key are generally analytical in nature. Flora, manuals, monograph and catalogs are some other means of recording description. They also help in correct identification. Flora contain the actual account of habitat and distribution of plant of a given area. This provides the index to the plant species found in a particular area. Manuals are useful in providing information for identification of names of species found in an area. Monograph contain information on any one taxon. Summary. The living world is rich in variety. Millions of plants and animals have been identified and described, but a large number still remain unknown. The varying range of organisms in terms of size, color, habitat, physiology and morphological feature make us seek the defining character of living organism. In order to facilitate the study of kinds and diversity of organism, biologists have evolved certain rules and principles for identification, nomenclature and classification of organism. The branch of knowledge dealing with these aspects is referred to as taxonomy. The taxonomic studies of various species of plant and animal are useful in agriculture, forestry, industry and in general for knowing our bioresource and their diversity. The basis of taxonomic, like identification, naming, and classification of organisms, are universally evolved under international codes. Based on the resemblance and distinct differences, each organism is identified and assigned as a correct scientific biological name comprising two words as per the binomial system of nomenclature. An organism represent occupies a place or position in the system of classification. There are many categories, ranked, and are generally referred to as taxonomic categories or taxa. All the categories constitute a taxonomic hierarchy. Taxonomists have developed a variety of taxonomic aids to facilitate identification, naming, and classification of organisms. These studies are carried out from the actual specimens which are collected from the field and preserved as referral in the form of herbaria, museum, and in botanical garden and zoological park. It requires special technique for collection and preservation of specimens in the herbaria and museum. Live specimens, on the other hand, of plants and animals are found in botanical garden or in zoological park. Taxonomists also prepare and disseminate information through manuals and monographs for further taxonomic studies. Taxonomic keys are tools that help in identification based on characteristic.